The beginning of part two. Yeah, I'm glad you stayed tuned. Thank you. Let me know what you think. Love to hear from you. God's blessings to all. The sheep follow the shepherd. And sadly, what is so sad, here we're uh, going into 5 years after this clown first started. We made it through 4 years of him, and now we're 6 months or better into a new president who's trying to straighten out some of this uh, just unreasonable lies. But we're having so many people continue to follow him, and what's even worse is the Republican Congress, House, Senate, Republicans going along with the lie and continuing the lie, spreading the just exactly actually what foreign countries, Russia and China, to be too specific, is so happy to see that the United States is destroying its own democracy. And you know, it was Mao Zedong who was one of the great con men of China, uh, stated in his little red book, Mao's Teachings, the United States is too great a military power to defeat. They can only be defeated from within. They will destroy themselves. And of course, China and Russia and a few of the other dictatorial regimes in the world are doing all they can to help. And what is so sad is that we see that things are happening. I think it will eventually, I believe we will eventually come to see in our not too distant future that Donald Trump will go down in history as America's first president to have willingly betrayed his own country in service to a foreign enemy. His acts of treason, I believe, will be taught in history books for generations to come. And the name Trump will become synonymous with treachery. And the thing of it is, those the majority of those who are following, who continue to defend, promote, and support Donald Trump are people who call themselves Christians. That is scary, isn't it? Now everyone sees Donald Trump for who he is. He's a pathological liar. He's a racist, and he's a sexual pervert. And it's really heartbreaking to see our country in the state that we're in. But we have these people who, and the really sad part of it, there's a lot of these people who claim to be Christians. They can't tell you why they continue to follow the reprobate Donald Trump, other than the fact they say, well, he's pro-life. Donald Trump, all of his life, and it's on film, he gave interviews before he ran for president. He said he's pro-choice and has been all of his life. And he said that to a news reporter. But he found out that since he couldn't run as a Democrat, in order to run and to get votes from the religious right, he had to become pro-life, and he became pro-life and said, I have been pro-life all my life. But then, do we expect anything different? I mean, the man's a pathological liar, and we know that. But what I'm trying to understand is that you know that he is, and you know he lies to you as soon as he opens his mouth. I think a reporter said one time, it was the one I heard telling about, and he's probably not the only one that ever said this, but it was a French reporter said, if Donald Trump's lips are moving, he's lying. Now foreign leaders, foreign countries recognize Donald Trump for who he is. They know who he is. But there's, 38 to 42% of Americans who don't. They just did a study. I just seen there was a reporter, not one of the main reporters, but a reporter from another news organization that was asking questions at one of his rallies where people were outside lined up to go in, and they were they were asking these people what would it take for Donald Trump to say that you would no longer support him? And to everyone, nothing. I'll support him no matter what. It's like, lie to me, I love it. It doesn't matter. And so many people that were asked, why do you follow after Donald Trump? The majority could not come up with a cohesive answer. There was two or three who said, well, he gave me a big tax break. And the reporter said, you got a tax break from Donald Trump back in 2017? Whenever the big almost $2 trillion was given back to the wealthiest 1% and 2% of Americans, the big corporations. You got a tax break then? Well, yes, I did. And the reporter said, in order for you to have gotten a tax break in the 2017, you had to have an income of over $400 million a year. Or 400,000, I'm sorry. 400,000. The only people that got any kind of a tax break made over 400,000. Did you make over 400,000? And the guy said, well, no, but I still got a tax break. And he goes, no, you didn't. and what is so And what is so enlightening to anybody that stops and thinks for a moment, you got a tax increase with Donald Trump in office. So many, you can no longer deduct your local state taxes you pay. Before you could deduct your state taxes and certain other things. You could also deduct charitable gifts for organizations, which in order to do that now, I think you have to donate over, what is it, $2,500 or $3,000 before you can get any kind of a discount. Well, and of course most people don't donate that much, but they still donate. But before they could declare, now they can't. So if you take away all of that which you could no longer claim as a deduction, you actually got a tax increase. But so many people don't realize that. And what is really galling to me is like I said before, those religious altar kneeling, hand waving, Bible pounding, hymn singing, scripture and verse misquoting hypocrites who defend, promote, and support one of the most treacherous men that's ever served in our government, behind Benedict Arnold. But anyway, I have to say, anyone who has the ability to see and hear will have no excuse come Judgment Day to say, I didn't know he was that way. I didn't know he was so terrible. I didn't know that he was actually didn't care one way or the other about life. Of course, he proved that whenever his philosophy was, all those immigrants attempting to enter the United States, take their babies away from them and they'll go home. It was just reported, 2 days ago? The Biden administration has only been able to find 7 families that were separated by the Trump administration. There's over 2,000 children who have been separated from their family that the government, the Biden administration, is unable to rejoin with their parents in Mexico because the Trump administration is hiding documents, declaring they kept no records. No. And until Biden and the Biden administration cleans out what Donald Trump put in office, we're still going to have this problem. And as God-fearing Americans who believe in humanity, dignity, honesty, are going to be held up until the disinfectant, it cleans out the government that was infected during the 4 years of Donald Trump. Just a note for some of my friends and relatives there in West Virginia that bought into the Trump cult. What was it? I think they're still, he's showing somewhere like 48% still support him in West Virginia. And of course, the Democratic senator there who's undercover, actually Joe Manchin, he's basically he's a Trump Republican, and but anyway, if you remember back, Trump claimed that back in 2016 he was going to put all the coal miners back to work. That was one of his big speeches. I'm going to open up all coal mines, and there'll be new mines in West Virginia. I'm putting all the miners back to work. And actually, the largest coal mine in West Virginia, Black Jewel, that's the name of the company, they closed down and went bankrupt back in, what was it, 19? And so many of the miners who had already worked never got paid. There was one case of family who had been on vacation in Dollywood there in Tennessee. He was a coal miner. They tried to use their to write a check to get home, and found out they had no money. Whenever the coal company went bankrupt, they canceled all the checks that they had paid their employees and everything else. And those people actually, the banks, hey, your money's, you got no money. You're out of business. Now, these are the places where Donald Trump said, I'm putting them all back to work. I'm opening up all the coal mines. Actually, there was 3 large mines in West Virginia back in 2019. This included the Black Jewel, which was the largest. 3 of those mines closed down. There are fewer mines operating in the state of West Virginia at the end of President Trump's presidency than was operating before he was elected. There are fewer miners working after Donald Trump's administration. He didn't do anything for the miners in West Virginia except put them out of business. Allowed them to go out of business. And under the Biden administration, they're starting up training classes in schools for these people who don't have work, and they're finding out there are more jobs. there's more job openings in the renewable fuel industry than ever was in the coal industry. But the point I'm trying to get across to you, Donald Trump lied to everybody. And of course, like I said, a pathological liar lies and knows that he's lying. So this shouldn't come as any surprise to anybody.
They have not been treated well, but they're going to be treated well now. Clean coal, right? Clean coal. I have already eliminated a devastating anti-coal regulation. And that is just the beginning. You saw that. We've got a lot of thank yous from a lot of great people that work very hard and want to keep working. A lot of people are going to be put back to work. A lot of coal miners are going back to work. As we speak, we are preparing new executive actions to save our coal industry and to save our wonderful coal miners from continuing to be put out of work. The miners are coming back.
But Donald Trump had no way of increasing the mines and the miners working in West Virginia, and he knew that. Just like he said he was going to open up all the steel mills. All the steel workers are all going back to work. How many remember the old TV program, Ripley's Believe It or Not? Well, here we are with Donald Trump. It's not believe it or not. Don't whatever you do, don't believe this. If Donald Trump's talking, he's lying. So, and I'm kind of reminded the story he gave when he was running back in, what was it? For his last for his reelection, he was up in Michigan, and he told them, Michigan, you better vote for me. I brought you 5 new auto plants. He said, I talked to Shinzo Abe, which is the Prime Minister or Emperor of Japan, whatever they call him over there today. And he said he's bringing 5 new auto plants to Michigan. Well, I think the people in Michigan, if you call and ask, during the 4 years of Donald Trump's reign as Emperor of the United States, there has not been one new major manufacturing plant built in the state of Michigan. None. And what the reporters that investigated this, actually they talked to the Japanese representatives. Abe said that Japan would be in 2021 would be investing $700 million in upgrading existing plants in the U.S. Excuse me. Upgrading $700 million. No new plants. Upgrading existing plants, which means no new employees. It's just they're just upgrading their plants. That, well, believe it or not, that's what the I think they call him Prime Minister of Japan said. So that was another Trump lie. Although, are we shocked that is and this is something that I have to ask that religious right out there. Does it shock you at all that the man lies, basically every time he opens his mouth? I understand after his big rally there in North Carolina a couple of nights ago, he told the cult members that he was going to be reinstated as President of the United States sometime in August. This is according to his latest guru. I don't know what happened to Paula White. He's got a new spiritual leader now. It's I can't remember the fellow's name. My pillow fellow. There, he's the one that's now telling everyone that Trump's going to be put back in the White House come August. I understand, and the thing of it is, it's kind of got the FBI and some of the others a little bit worried about another attempted coup, and I do have to caution others, though, that I don't think you have to worry about Donald Trump putting this type of coup together. I believe Donald Trump is a bullet that's being fired by some of those in Congress. I can't give I really can't give Donald Trump the credit for putting anything like that together. I mean, look at his entire life from beginning to now, to date. He has lost every business. He's put every business that he went into out of business. He even put the business that his father left him, $400 million. He soon blew through that, and so I don't see Donald Trump conjuring up a coup. I think it's by someone other than Donald Trump. And of course, if we could ever get any honest people in government, and it appears that's going to be a real uphill pull there. Maybe we'll be able to find out who's behind this, other than Vladimir Putin. Of course, I think everybody knows he, along with China, and but it's something I think we all have to keep our eye on. But what I'm really worried about, and I think we all should be worried about, we may be watching the demise of the democracy, one of the last major democracies in the United States, be defeated. And the very, very sad part of it is, it's being done by Americans, not by foreigners. Americans.